Throughout California, there are tens of thousands of residents who lost their homes, their belongings, and for some, even their loved ones due to wildfires. In 2020, the Fire Victims Trust was established to compensate survivors of the 2015 Butte, the 2017 North Bay, and the 2018 Camp fires with a total of $13.5 billion of settlement award money. Survivors have waited years for compensation to rebuild their lives. They've long awaited these funds. Instead, to add insult, many of them are facing immense tax burdens and navigating the uncertainty of our ambiguous tax code, trying to find concrete answers of which they may or may not owe the government in taxes. We should not force survivors to pay federal taxes on compensation they would otherwise use to rebuild their lives. And we certainly should not be forcing them to pay taxes on funds that are going to the lawyers involved as well. Congressman Mike Thompson and I have introduced H.R. 7305 to correct this injustice. I'm urging all my colleagues in the House to support this bipartisan legislation and bring much-needed financial reprieve to these wildfire survivors. They shouldn't have to live with this uncertainty over their heads. This needs to be passed by the end of this year. Thank you. I yield back.
Speaker, I rise today on behalf of thousands of California wildfire survivors. Following the disastrous wildfires in 2015, 17, and 18, a court-ordered trust was established to compensate survivors for their loss of property. These funds are nowhere near enough to fully compensate for the loss of a home. Even worse, I've heard from countless constituents concerned that the funds they receive from the trust will be taxed. That's why I, along with Congressman LaMalfa, introduced H.R. 7305 to make clear that settlement proceeds like these are non-taxable. This legislation is absolutely essential to wildfire survivors, many of whom still cannot return to a home on their property. And the sad reality is that more natural disasters, including fires, will happen in the future. It's critical that Congress pass this legislation now. This bill ensures Americans impacted by disasters are not owed unfair taxes. I urge my colleagues to include this legislation in any omnibus or spending bill moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.